Hey, welcome back to Syrup and Eggs. I'm Brian and this is Mike, and here we are at 2025. We're doing our maple sap boil off, so stick around and see how we turn this sap into some maple syrup.
In the woods, where the shadows play, the trees whisper secrets of a golden day. Sap runs wild through the bark so old, a river of amber, sweet and bold. I wandered far on a frostbitten morn, through the mist where the syrup's born. With a strum of strings, my soul takes flight, chasing the sweetness in the pale moonlight. Oh, I ramble on down the sweet amber road, where the maple flows free and the legends grow. Through the fire and frost, I'll carry my load for the syrup of kings on the wild wind blows.
Okay, here we are. Let me show you what we got going on here. It's kind of like a rocket stove, right? We have a chimney right here that's drawing the heat up. Our firebox is underneath. And then this is what creates all that heat in there. It draws right through there and straight up through the chimney. What we've got is our hottest part is over here near the chimney, because all of the heat is being drawn through there, all the flames and heat. And this is going to be our main boiler. Then each one successively back is warming up, and all we do is keep transferring. So when this gets low, I take some of this and I move it forward, right? You got to make sure that this is boiling before you put it in there, because if you kill that boil, it takes a tremendous amount of energy to get that boiling again. So that's why it's important to successively have these coming back. This one is not quite as warm, because that's what some of the stuff is even has ice coming in it. So look over here and you'll see, for example, like, look at the amount of ice in this thing. So if I put that into that first warmer pan, that's going to take a little bit of time to get heated up to where I can put it in here. As you see, just taking a single scoop from this one has dulled this down so much that it's going to take a little bit more to get it back up. So, it looks, when you first start, you're dumping all these buckets in here, but until it starts boiling, you can't add any more, and you just slowly add into here. You pour into the farthest one out. Now, we built these things back to back, because started out with just one evaporator, and then we started getting too much sap, that it was taking too long, that we had to build another one. So now we've got 6 pans going. 4 are boiling and 2 are warmers. So you just got to keep stoking the fire, build the fire backwards so you get even heat everywhere, and then it all draws up towards this front one. And then as we get closer to the end, we eventually eliminate one and we focus down into another, like into a single one. And soon enough, we're down to a single pan. And then it's a matter of modifying it, like restricting the amount of heat that's going to it. Because if you spend all this time, all day long, boiling all this sap off, it's a 40-to-1 ratio. That's for sugar maple. And you end up boiling off at the end after you put in all that effort, that would be terrible. So, and then you take your final, whatever you have, put it in a bucket and take it down to, take it inside and do a final boil off using a hydrometer, so that you can get to the exact sugar content, so that you've got the right amount for syrup. Now, this looks like it's smoke, but this is pleasant to breathe in. This is all steam, and the longer you go, the sweeter it smells. So it's really a nice thing to do. And we started here, I think it was about 19 degrees. So all these buckets are frozen, and we'll finish up probably before dark this time, since we only got about 80 gallons instead of, the last couple years we've had about 200. But I kind of fell behind and didn't do my part, or get anything tapped. But Mike got most of this done, so yeah, we're going to get it See what we can do. Okay, we're like 2 hours in since we had our first boil. And if you look down here, you'll see what's happening. Right here, you're going to see the darkest stuff because it's becoming closer to syrup. All right, so all the water's boiling off, and now you're starting to see the sugars. This one is a little bit lighter, and this one is almost clear. This is what it looks like going in, and this is why it takes so long, especially on a day like today, is like all these buckets are frozen. Some of them are frozen solid, so we're trying to warm them up around the fire. And then all we do is we add the cold stuff here. This is the least amount of heat, so this just slowly warms up so that it can be added in. So what happens as this thing boils off, because this is the fiercest one, we take from here and throw in there, and then we take from here and put in there, so that we continuously try to keep everything boiling. And then we add some more cold stuff there. And then we have, our second one over here, which is boiling like crazy, but this one, it keeps trying to boil over. So sometimes we take out of the others, but it's just a matter of, constantly monitoring this and don't lose any. But here's another one that's almost solid that we have closer to the chimneys. And then if you take a look around all the buckets here, like those over there are empties, and then the ones that are coming closer here, we're trying to get warmed up. So we got a good bit of time left here, but it's definitely worth it. Our last update was 2 hours after our first boil. It's been about 2.5 hours since then. So 4.5 hours since we first got a boil on this thing. And if you take a look, you'll see look at the deep color in this. Like, it's getting closer to syrup. And you can tell on some of these, when you start seeing the foam changes and the bubbles get bigger, and it's just a little more like that. You could see that we're down to just 3 buckets now, and I think we started with 21 5-gallon buckets. So if we're talking about 80 gallons, we can expect to get a 2-gallon yield from this boil off, minus everything that's with the spill and the anything that sticks to the surfaces and all the transfers and everything like that. So I think probably by the time we're done with filtering, we'll have 1.5 gallons or a little less. So each one of these containers is about 4 gallons. When it's boiling, you can't have it more than half full. So if we got it down to a single container or close to that, halfway full, we would know that we were really close. So pretty soon these ones will be empty. And what we'll do is we'll pour water in the empties, because if we didn't, we would destroy the pans from the fire underneath. Or if we removed the pans, we wouldn't get that flow that would keep the boil going on these other ones. So you still have to keep the continuous flow of air to fuel this. And we'll probably end up into just one evaporator after we get a little bit lower. All right, so what we're doing now is kind of a new technique we've been discussing. As you look in and you see these are getting pretty concentrated. And what happens is as it gets higher and higher, it can boil over easily. So what we're doing is we're taking off some of the concentrated stuff that's not quite syrup, cooling it down and saving it for further processing, so that then as we add some of our other stuff, it doesn't create such an issue with boiling over and losing our final product. since it has to be finished anyway on a more controlled environment, because the only way to control like a primitive type evaporator like we have is by blocking off the airflow. And that it's the response time is so bad, it's so slow that if you start boiling over, you have no way to grab these things off of here or slide them off like you do at a burner. All you can do is block off the air supply. But the response is so slow, it still's got such enormous heat that you'll just keep boiling over. So unless you can predict exactly what's going on with your fire, and you know, you can do it to some degree, but it's not worth losing all this hard work. So now what we're doing is we're lowering our levels so that we can then start transferring more and be more efficient as we get towards the end, because that seems to be the hardest part. This is all just, you know, kind of repetition and everything, but at the end is where I guess the experience comes in and really makes a difference, you know, like on what your yield ends up being.
All right, we're down to 2 pans of sap boiling. The other 4 pans all have water to help protect the pan and, you know, keep the heat in our little stoves. So now we are going to probably empty 1 pan into the other, let it cool down, and then put it in the bucket. All right, now we're going to empty one of the pans into the final sap pan here. That's the last pan, a couple gallons in there. And you can see all the coals on the other side. And then we're gonna take this off here and let it cool down before it overflows. All right, not too bad. Spilled over a little bit, but just a tiny bit, no big deal. Let that cool. Then we can get that put in the bucket and move on to our finishing steps. All right, so we're at the end here. We have a couple gallons in the pan. It's still got a little bit more to cool before I put it in the bucket with the rest of the sap, or the almost syrup now. And we'll have our finishing video coming up here soon. We'll take this last few gallons of syrup / sap and get it down to, you know, actual syrup. So I hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to our channel. Help us grow this channel. We're really trying hard this year to get more information out there to everybody. So yeah, hit the like button, and we'll see you next time.
Ramble on, the journey's sweet and strong.